Horror is one of the oldest and most creatively fertile genres in cinema. What makes a horror film truly influential isn't just how scary it is, but how deeply it reshapes the genre, how it introduces new rules, tropes, or techniques, and how its echoes show up everywhere afterward. So here's a countdown of the 10 most influential horror movies ever. 10. The Blair Witch Project, 1999. This little DIY indie with no monster, no soundtrack, and a $60,000 budget blew up into a cultural juggernaut. It didn't just birth the found footage genre, it rewrote the rules of marketing. Remember that website with fake police reports? Today's Paranormal Activity and host owe it big time. It made horror feel real again. 9. It Follows, 2014. Minimalist, atmospheric, and creepy in that slow, dread-soaked way, this film showed that horror could be both nostalgic and original at once. It revived the idea that concept horror, one terrifying idea, simply executed, can scare us more than gore ever could. Also, the score is pure nightmare fuel. 8. Ringu, 1998. Japan completely reinvented supernatural horror in the late 90s, and Ringu led the charge. That cursed videotape, that final scene, shivers. It introduced the West to J-horror and directly inspired The Ring, The Grudge, and a wave of ghost girl imitators with long black hair crawling out of places they shouldn't. 7. Psycho, 1960. Hitchcock changed everything with one little shower scene. Psycho brought horror into the modern world, sleek, psychological, and disturbing. It killed off the protagonist early, which was shocking then, made slashers possible, and dared to make the villain the quiet guy next door. After this, horror stopped being about castles, it started being about us. 6. Halloween, 1978. The movie that turned babysitting into a death sentence. John Carpenter's Halloween made Michael Myers a boogeyman for the ages. With its unforgettable score, low-budget brilliance, and final girl formula, it became the slasher blueprint. Every horror film from the 80s owes this one royalties. 5. Night of the Living Dead, 1968. Before George A. Romero, zombies weren't zombies. Night of the Living Dead didn't just invent the modern zombie, it brought a bleakness and political edge horror had never seen. That ending? Still jaw-dropping. It made horror dangerous, both socially and narratively. And it did it all in black and white on a shoestring budget. 4. The Babadook, 2014. This film didn't create elevated horror, but it definitely cemented it. It proved you could tell deeply personal stories, grief, trauma, motherhood, through metaphor, and still scare the hell out of people. Indie horror exploded in its wake. Plus, that pop-up book still gives us chills. 3. The Exorcist, 1973. This movie didn't just scare people, it possessed pop culture. People fainted in theaters. Some thought it was cursed. It brought horror to the mainstream in a way nothing else had. Serious actors, Oscar nominations, and demonic head spins? Suddenly, horror was respectable and deeply disturbing. 2. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. You think this movie is bloody, but it barely shows anything. That's the genius. Tobe Hooper made a film that feels like a snuff tape, but is all about suggestion, sound, and sweaty, grinding terror. It birthed the slasher and influenced grindhouse, exploitation, and modern realist horror. Leatherface became a horror icon, and he doesn't even talk. 1. Nosferatu, 1922. This is the patient zero of cinematic horror. A silent, unauthorized Dracula adaptation that feels more ghostly than most modern films. The shadowy imagery, the eerie performance of Max Schreck, the use of light and architecture, it's all timeless. Nearly every vampire story, horror aesthetic, and creepy castle moment owes a debt to Nosferatu. It's the original nightmare.